On our 2-year anniversary, I stood in my kitchen surrounded by pasta steam, candlelight, and the faint smell of cheap wine breathing on the table I had finished setting everything up. Her favorite dish simmering on the stove, the apartment clean for once, and the lights dimmed just the way she liked. I even left work early to make sure the evening felt special. I wasn't expecting miracles, but I was hoping for something warm, something real, something that reminded me why we ever started. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching, because the best part's coming up next. At 7:58 p.m., my phone buzzed. Mia's name flashed on the screen. I thought maybe she was letting me know she was outside, or stuck in traffic, or anything normal. Instead, the text read, "My ex is upset. I have to go. Don't wait up. No explanation, no apology, not even a hint that she realized it was our anniversary." I stared at the message for a few seconds. There was no anger in me, just a deep, heavy clarity that settled like wet sand in my chest. I typed, understood, and hit send. That was it. I didn't call. I didn't ask. I didn't try to salvage an evening she clearly had no intention of being part of. I simply turned off the stove, watched the candle flames flicker in the silence, and let something inside me finally fall apart for good. For a moment, the apartment felt suffocating. Crowded with her clothes, her makeup, her random things scattered everywhere, marking territory she never truly valued. Half this place had begun to feel like a storage unit for someone who couldn't commit to living here, or to me. And as I looked around, I realized I didn't recognize any of it anymore. I didn't recognize myself either. That's when a strange calm washed over me. Not peace, just the clarity that comes when denial finally dies. I went to the bedroom, pulled out her suitcases, and began packing every piece of her life she had left in my space. I didn't do it angrily. I folded her dresses neatly, lined up her shoes, placed her makeup in bags, and packed everything with an efficiency that felt cold and mechanical. I wasn't trying to hurt her or punish her. I was just removing her presence from a place she clearly didn't value. When I finished, 3 full suitcases and a small box sat by the door. I checked her car's GPS. Her ex Ryan's address was still saved, so I copied it down. Then I called a 24-hour courier service. I handed over her things and taped a little note to the top suitcase. "Housewarming gift comes with the owner." The moment the courier van pulled away, the apartment finally felt empty. Bare, but breathable. For the first time in months, the quiet wasn't filled with anxiety or waiting or suspicion. It was just quiet. I poured myself a drink, sat on the couch, and let the evening fade into something resembling relief. She had made her choice. I simply helped streamline the consequences. 3 hours later, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, 2 police officers stood outside. Apparently Mia had called them, claiming I kicked her out and kept her belongings. I explained calmly. The apartment was under my name. She didn't legally live here. And as for her things, I had shipped everything directly to the address she left to go to. I even had the receipt and Ryan's signature. The officers glanced at the papers, nodded, and realized there was nothing to investigate. They told me to have a good night and left. When the door closed behind them, I laughed. Not because any of this was funny, but because it was so absurd, so predictable. It almost felt scripted. A few minutes later, my phone lit up again. Mia. Call after call. Over and over. Then came the texts. "You're insane. You embarrassed me. You had no right. Please, can we talk?" I didn't reply. Turns out that when she showed up at Ryan's place, he didn't exactly welcome her with open arms. He had moved on, started seeing someone new, and wasn't willing to play therapist or caretaker for her anymore. He told her to leave, leaving her outside with her suitcases in the cold. With nowhere to go, she turned to the police, then to guilt, then to sympathy. None of it worked. By morning, mutual friends began messaging me, confused and curious. Mia was already spinning a story about being kicked out for no reason. Painting herself as the victim, I ignored them all. I didn't need to defend myself. Truth is patient, and it never stays buried. Eventually it surfaces. Later that day, she left me a long, crying voicemail about how Ryan tricked her, how she had nowhere else to go, how she just needed help. I deleted it after 10 seconds. I had spent too long being the stable harbor she took for granted. I wasn't going to sign up for that role again. Over the next few days, she escalated things. She even tried involving my landlord, claiming I illegally evicted her. He laughed when he called me. I sent him the lease, and he told me not to worry about it. Said she was just being dramatic. Then came the pity parade online. She posted vague quotes and sad pictures with suitcases behind her, talking about betrayal and heartbreak. People who didn't know the full story reached out to me asking if it was about us. I didn't respond. When manipulation failed, she turned to money. She created a GoFundMe titled "Fresh Start After Heartbreak," saying her boyfriend kicked her out, kept all her belongings, and she had nothing. She asked for $5,000. She received about $200 before someone in the comments mentioned her recent luxury shopping spree on Instagram, and the fundraiser quietly disappeared the next day. Her mother even called me, accusing me of stealing her jewelry and her Chanel bag. I told her the same thing I told the police. Everything Mia owned was shipped to Ryan's address, and there was a signature to prove it. If something was missing, either she packed it poorly in the first place, or Ryan knew more about it than I did. Her mother hung up in silence. Meanwhile, Ryan texted me complaining that Mia kept showing up at his building, screaming at the gate. He told her to leave, but she insisted she had nowhere else to go. I told him it wasn't my problem. She made her choice. That was the last time I spoke to either of them. About a week passed, and everything began to settle. People grew bored of her vague online posts. Attention faded. Drama dried up without an audience. For the first time in a long time, my life was quiet. Peaceful. My apartment stayed clean. My evenings were mine again. No sudden crises. No late-night phone calls from her ex needing emotional nursing. No arguments about things I didn't do. But peace rarely comes easily with people who thrive on chaos. 2 weeks later, I went to dinner with a co-worker. Just food, just conversation, nothing romantic. Halfway through the meal, Mia walked into the restaurant. She saw me immediately. Her face froze, then twisted into something vindictive. She stormed over, loud enough for half the room to hear. "Wow! Didn't take you long to replace me," she snapped. I sighed. I told her not to do this here. But she pressed on, accusing me of humiliating her and throwing her out, making a scene for strangers to witness. The entire restaurant fell silent. My co-worker looked mortified. I finally said it plainly. "You left me on our anniversary to go see your ex. I only sent your things to the same place you went." Her face drained of color. She didn't expect me to say it publicly, clearly. People were watching. Her bravado cracked. She muttered something angry under her breath and stormed out. And that was, ironically, the moment everything shifted. Word spread. People began to see through her stories. Even Ryan's new girlfriend banned her from ever contacting him again. Eventually, even Ryan himself said he was done with her drama entirely. I heard bits and pieces over the next few weeks. She had moved into a small rented room somewhere across town. She started dating some older guy with money because she had run out of other options. Her family didn't want her living with them. They were tired of the problems she created and refused to fix. I didn't feel satisfaction, or anger, or sympathy. I felt nothing. She had lived by chasing validation, attention, and chaos. Without those things, she floated into the background like a passing storm, and I finally had clear skies. I deleted her number, blocked her on everything, stopped asking or caring about updates. There was nothing left to repair or revisit. Silence did the work for me. It became my closure. 6 months later, I met Emma. It wasn't dramatic or intense, just a simple conversation at a co-workers gathering. She was calm, honest, and straightforward. No games, no secrets, no half-truths. She communicated like an adult. If she was upset, she said so. If she was busy, she told me. It was refreshing in a way that felt almost unreal. We started seeing each other, slowly, without pressure. I told her a shortened version of what happened with Mia. She laughed gently and said, "Sounds like you dodged a storm." She was right now. My life feels settled. Quiet in the best way. I go to work, come home, cook simple meals, and spend weekends with Emma. The apartment stays clean. The silence is comforting, not heavy. I didn't get revenge, and I never wanted it. I simply stepped out of the game Mia kept trying to play. I let her face the consequences of her own choices. Without cushioning, without excuses, without absorbing the fallout for her. And sometimes, that's the most powerful thing you can do. When someone shows you they don't respect you, don't argue, don't plead, don't try to prove you're worth loving. Just pack their things and send them exactly where they already wish they were. Let them live in the freedom they insisted on. Most of the time, it's the one thing they're not prepared to handle. 6 months ago, I lived with someone who kept one foot in her past. Now, I live a life that finally moves forward. And I'm not looking back. Honestly, this story shows exactly why calm, firm boundaries are often more powerful than any argument. Mark didn't scream, didn't fight, didn't try to win. He simply stepped out of the circus and let the clowns perform alone. Mia had one foot in another relationship from the start, and eventually, the truth just exposed itself. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for yourself is to walk away without needing to explain the obvious. And the world usually proves you right if you're patient enough. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in Mark's situation? And have you ever dealt with someone who couldn't let go of their past?